Bienvenidos a otra edición del Buffet de Oráculos. Welcome to another edition of the Oracle Buffet. I'm your host, psychic astrologer, Heather Carmona, and I'm very grateful to be here today. Thank you for tuning in. We got a special show today, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, I hesitated to do this, but thanks to the host of another show on this network, the Psychic Psych, I got the validation I needed a few hours ago. Because today we're going to be talking about me and my journey to awakening and quantum physics and the meditation experiment program. Anyway, I usually hesitate to talk about myself, but the Psychic Psych was talking about how everyone's journey to awakening is unique and is meant to be shared. So thank you to her for that, for validating what I was feeling, because I did want to take my first on-air reading today, and that's where the hesitation was, talking about myself, doing a reading. But anyway, I decided to talk about myself, which I think you'll actually find very valuable. But before we talk about today, let's talk about the past. Last week's show, because we had a question from our viewer. A question from the viewer. Heather, why are you such a dork? From Mom. Mom, you know why I'm a dork. Not only is it heredity, it also helps raise your vibration. That's right. The more you laugh, and the more fun you have, the higher your vibration is. And the higher your vibration is, the more happy, joyful, abundant things you attract into your life. So yes, that is why I like to act a little goofy on my show and in real life, to make me laugh, to hopefully make you laugh, and to keep our vibrations high. Now, this isn't hippy-dippy mumbo-jumbo. This is quantum physics in action. And today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about my journey to spiritual awakening, the discovery of quantum physics, my creation of the meditation experiment, and how it changed the lives of myself and everyone else who joined it, and who's done it. But first, pero primero, una palabra, a word from our sponsors. Sponsor of the day is Lily and Ivy Cakes and Sweet Treats. Lily and Ivy is a bakery in Galesville, Wisconsin, owned by my dear friend Rachel. She not only does cake, partnered with our other sponsor, High Class Grass, to create this here spicy vegan peanut brittle. So if you like peanut brittle, if you like spice, you might like that. You can find it at high-classgrass.com, on Amazon, TikTok, or eBay. Second sponsor of the day, of course, High Class Grass, a plant-based company dedicated to help making plant-based living more convenient. And finally, the last sponsor of the day is the Lighthouse Center in Whitmore Lake, Michigan. As you may know by now, the Lighthouse Center is a center for spirituality and meditation founded by my grandmother, a gifted psychic, more than 40 years ago, and it's still going strong 22 years after her death. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today is the Lighthouse Center and my mission on Earth. And my mission on Earth has been tying the West to the East, making spirituality accessible and believable even to the skeptic. So let's just dive right in and talk about this here mission, talk about some of my experiences, and I hope that they help you on your journey as well. So growing up, I experienced two very different worlds. I was lucky enough to have both of my parents in my life. They're very grateful for. They're great parents. They always have been. But I grew up around my dad's family a good 99% of the time, mainly due to location. We lived in Wisconsin. My mom's side of the family lived in Michigan. Anyway, my dad's side of the family, very fun people, very smart people, very mechanical people, very handy people. I can't tell you how many mechanics are in my family, but they always want to know how things work, why they work. They want to know the scientific reason behind things. So that's how I was raised, was the why and how things work. So I was naturally a skeptic growing up. For a number of reasons, I didn't meet my maternal grandmother, my mom's mom, the psychic one, until I was age 7. And when I did, I learned that she was a psychic, which is a word I've never heard before. And me being the curious person I was, I had to know more. I learned her being a psychic meant that she was a fortune teller, and she got paid to read people and tell them their fortunes, which of course I thought was so cool, but the little skeptic in me was like, I don't know about this. And I did have some abilities myself, but I didn't really know what to make of them. I would spend several weeks a year at her house in Michigan, and I would watch people file in and out of her reading room where she was giving psychic readings. Sometimes it would be like 10 people a day coming in and out of her house. And anyway, not only that, she would predict things that would come true. She would look at my yearbook and tell me things about my friends that either were true or did come true. Um, she would a couple times she read my mind, which as a teenager is traumatizing because those teenage thoughts are uncontrollable, and when you got someone reading your mind, it's kind of traumatic. But that's a whole other story. Um, she took me to get my birth chart done, my astrology chart done when I was a teenager, which is the birth of my love of astrology. She got me reflexology done, palm reading, all these metaphysical things done. And they were all great and I enjoyed them. However, that skeptic in me that was raised by mainly my dad's side of the family was still very much alive. And I thought, this is all great and I enjoy this and all, but maybe she's just a really good guesser. Maybe this is all coincidence. I haven't seen physical proof of any of this, so I'm still a skeptic. That all changed one day when I got the physical proof I was looking for. So here we are, we're driving on the interstate, Grandma and I in Michigan. She's driving, I'm only 14 at the time. So we're on this side of the highway. And on the other side of the highway, there's an accident. Now, as we're approaching the scene of this accident, she's got her cruise control set at 70 miles an hour. And we don't change speeds at all during this. Anyway, the other side of the road is the accident. The Jeep flipped over. And as we approach the scene of this accident, the speedometer, which was at 70, starts going from 0 to 120 to 0 to 120, flailing back and forth. And it caught my eye. And I said, Grandma, what is that? What's happening to the speedometer? Why is it doing that? And she said to me, oh, that's that man over there fighting for his life. And as soon as we passed the scene of the accident, the speedometer went back to 70, like it didn't even happen. And keep in mind, we didn't change speeds once because we didn't have to because we were on the other side of the highway. Anyway, that moment, everything up until my life, or every moment up until then, was just completely blown away, blown out of the water. Because I knew at that moment there was something very real to the spiritual stuff. I could no longer be the skeptic that I was raised to be. However, being the mechanic's daughter and the mechanic's granddaughter, I needed to know how that was possible. How did some man who's had an accident on the other side of the highway affect her speedometer a couple hundred yards away? So that set me on a quest to figure out how that happened to me. It sent me on a quest to figure out what reality is, how it operates, how that was possible that day, how everything ties together. I needed the scientific explanation to cure my skeptical mind. Now, I probably could have just asked my grandma at the time, but I was so blown away that I kind of froze. Anyway, and I wanted to find the answers for myself. And she ended up dying a few years later, so I never really got the chance to talk about it. But anyway, so my quest for answers into how that was possible led me to start off with the church. I joined church with my middle school boyfriend at the time, took classes, and I quickly discovered that Jesus didn't have the answers I thought he did for this particular thing, and actually left me with more questions. And a lot of things that didn't make sense. Now, these were prehistoric times, long before Google and the internet, so I couldn't just Google what is reality, how does it work. I had to read books and figure it out on my own. So I continued to study whatever I could find. But the skeptic in me still lived on. So I studied real world stuff too. But anyway, my studies, I studied astrology, of course. I studied the brain, neuroscience, epigenetics, which is the expression of your genes, metaphysics, quantum physics, meditation, energetic medicine, nutrition, access consciousness in the bars. I also studied business, success, and habits in the real world. I was trying to come up with answers to how the universe worked while hedging my bets in the real world, just in case, this spiritual thing wasn't going to pan out. I tested a number of tools that I discovered over the years, and what I found I kept what I found that worked. Anyway, I formulated a program around all these tools that combine Western success with Eastern knowledge, tradition, and wisdom. And what I found for the answer to my question was quantum physics. Everything is connected. You, me, and everything in between us, it's all connected. And that's what I learned that day on the highway. What I've also found is that your primary mood, thoughts, and expectations determine your reality. And what determines your primary moods, thoughts, and expectations? Your habits. So I combine these two aspects, Western success with Eastern wisdom, into one program. This program helps to change your reality because it works at a cellular level and changes you from the inside out. Every thought you think, every observation you make is collapsing waves into particles. That's how quantum physics works. The observer effect and the split electron experiments. These are things that if you haven't looked into, you definitely should, but it proves that on a cellular level, you're very much creating your reality. And that's what my program did. Anyway, this is taking a lot longer than I thought, so I'm running out of time here. But I tested this program on many of my friends. It worked for everyone who's done it. I haven't done this program for a while. I haven't helped people with it because I've been focused on astrology, but I want to bring this back and offer this to the world again. This meditation experiment program. It takes 15 minutes a day, and it combines 20 plus years and over 200 books that I read about different things that help you to build the reality you want, help you to create more of what you want. You can certainly check this out on my second website, themeditationexperiment.net, or you can visit my website, psychicastrologywi.com, if you're interested in knowing more. The program can either be 1 week where I show it to you and you take it and do with it what you wish, or we can do weekly follow-up. But I'm very interested in showing the world quantum physics, which is a fancy term for saying the physics of light, because we are all light beings and the quanta is a particle of light. But I want to show the world and the skeptics and the believers and everyone out there how to work with the natural laws of the universe, how to make quantum physics work in your favor, because it's working for you now. You just don't really know it yet, and you're creating by default. But when you grab the bull by the horns, excuse me, and start to create intentionally, deliberately, things start to change, and they change fast. So again, if you're interested in exploring this program, if you want to change your life in 15 minutes a day, it's worked for every single person who's done it. I have no doubt that it'll work for you. If you do it, please feel free to contact me at psychicastrologywi.com or at themeditationexperiment.net.